Well, as promised, welcome to the second of two holiday editions of Cooking with Steve. Now, I've got to level with you. I was hoping to do a variation of chicken pot pie as a more non-traditional Christmas dinner, but when I kept testing it, I ran into a lot of problems with the crust. I don't want to say what exactly, partly because I'm hoping to get together eventually and use it for a future video. In the meantime, for those of you who want a more exotic winter meal, I'm going to present to you beef vindaloo. That's right, an Indian dish. Okay, maybe you'll have this closer to New Year's Eve, I don't know. But anyway, it's up to you. I first heard about this on an English comedy show called Red Dwarf, and I've always been curious about it, so eventually I decided to make it and share it with you. This is more involved than some of the recipes I have done in the past, and you'll need a few hours to do all this, but it's still not very hard. To start with, blend a half cup of red wine vinegar and 14 cloves of garlic. If you don't have a blender, you can just chop the garlic really finely. It's a bit touchy, but very doable. You know the drill by now. The smoother you can get, the better. Then add 4 small, hot red chili peppers, or a half tablespoon of red pepper flakes, and blend it again. In a separate bowl, grind and then mix together a quarter teaspoon of cumin seeds, 3/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric, or yellow curry powder if you can't find it, 1 teaspoon of mustard, preferably dry, and a bit of salt and sugar. Add to the blended paste when you're done. Then juice and pulp 1 lemon, add it to the paste, and mix it thoroughly. Then take 2 pounds of beef chuck and cut it into 1-inch cubes, or just use stewing beef, that works too. Place the beef in a food storage bag, pour the paste mixture over it, and let it marinate for 2 hours. When you're ready to cook, finely slice 1 small onion. Then pour a bit of vegetable oil in the skillet over medium heat and let the onions sizzle until they're opaque. Add 5 cloves, ground from fresh if possible. If you can't do that, just use a quarter teaspoon of the powdered stuff. Take the meat out of the bag, but leave the marinade alone for now. Add the meat to the skillet and turn the heat up so it will seal quickly. You basically just want to brown the outside. When that's done, swap the pan with a pot, pour the entire mixture in there, and add the marinade. Like I said, put this on the same burner, then let it come to a gentle boil and put a lid on it, and turn down the heat and let it simmer for 1 hour. While the meat is cooking, I'll take a minute to address a sort of a blooper/happy accident that happened when I was filming the test version of this recipe. As you might have gathered, turmeric and curry powder are yellow, whereas the marinade that I came up with is kind of this orangey red color. That's because at the time I didn't know that you're supposed to use curry powder to substitute for turmeric, and what I did instead was I grabbed some tandoori masala from a bulk store and just poured that in. It actually turned out very well, but if you're a bit more of a purist, that's something that you want to avoid. Anyway, now that elephant has been addressed, let's get back to the cooking, okay? After the meat has been simmering for an hour, crack open the lid, and for God's sake, don't breathe in at the exact moment you do that, because those spices will be super strong after steaming for so long. Once the air is cleared a bit, and you've stopped coughing and sputtering, crack open a half-cup can of tomato paste and stir it into the meat mixture. Then cover it again and let it simmer for another half hour or so. This part is a little bit more approximate, because what you're ultimately after is the meat being so tender that you can just push through it with a mixing spoon. While this is simmering, you can put on some white minute rice and cook that as directed on the box. Come on, I can't do all the work for you. Anyway, once this is done, pour the rice into bowls and pour the meat and sauce on top of it. This is very hot, but very good. And if you want to make like the characters on Red Dwarf, feel free to enjoy this with a nice lager. Cheers, and that's it for me.